Today I want to talk about an important tool for finding nuggets with your metal detector. And this is a tool that actually can be really helpful. And I don't use it enough, I'll tell you the truth. I don't use it as much as I should. And a lot of people don't use it as much as they should. And maybe you should be using this tool more. Now, what am I talking about? What is this tool that you probably have already? Something that maybe you just need to go into your garage and get? Well, it's a rake. I have a friend, and actually he passed away not too long ago, but he had a rake like this that he used all the time in the Arizona desert. He called it his 100 nugget rake because that rake had produced more than 100 nuggets for him. And now you ask, how does a rake make that much difference? Well, a lot of times with your metal detector, you may find an area with some gold and you clean it all out, think that's it, right? But if there's rocks and pebbles and here in the forest, pine needles, so in the desert, those rocks, you have to go over the top of them with your metal detector. If you rake them all aside, then you can go into the area where the rocks were. And if you're out in an area where generally there's gold nuggets there, if you see areas like in the desert where people have raked all the rocks into a pile, well, you know that someone was getting some good gold in that area where the rocks were. And going over that area, maybe going down a little deeper with a bigger coil or something like that, may get you some more gold. And so commonly areas with rocks raked aside are areas that are gonna probably be good for gold. And then another thing is that up here in the mountains, because I'm up in the pines, these pines shed needles all over the place, and the needles build up. It's not like somebody comes up here and cleans them like cleaning the leaves in my yard. No, the needles just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate until in areas like this, honestly, the fresh needles may be several inches high, and even below that there may be an inch or two of decomposed needles, and that can easily be keeping your coil 3 to 5, even 6 inches above where there's likely going to be any nuggets, because the nuggets are going to be in the soil, in the geologic soil, not in the humus and loose pine needles and that kind of stuff. And I found some gold in this area, and I'm gonna go rake some of the areas that I found gold in before. And I'm gonna use my rake and I'm gonna clear away the needles and hopefully be able to see down a little deeper and find a little more gold. And that's why I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go through the process, raking and clearing out areas that I can detect and see if I get any more gold. Now, I talked about raking rocks and areas where you look and you see raked rocks. I've got some pictures of that. Let me show you, and we'll talk about how you can use that sign to find areas where there have been nuggets taken out.
Here is an area in Western Australia, a nugget patch, where someone has raked aside these spots where they were finding some gold. Now, I got a number of nice nuggets here. I've outlined the areas that were raked in green, but the gold that I found was in the areas that really weren't raked, or, they raked up the rocks and then covered that area. So sometimes when you find these, it's the adjoining areas that are the best prospecting for gold. Here is another nugget patch in Western Australia, and you can see in the foreground the area there is pretty much devoid of rocks except for a few small piles. And in this illustration, I'm showing not only the green area that they raked free from rocks, but the red areas are the areas where they raked the rocks too. And sometimes, when they rake the rocks, they're covering good gold area too. And so by removing the rocks, moving the piles around and getting to what's underneath the raked rock piles, you can find some good gold that way as well.
Now, I actually have 2 rakes that I use for this purpose. I have this rake that I use for general raking of pine needles and rocks and that kind of stuff. And you can use other kinds of rakes. There's the more leaf-oriented ones. The truth is, these work a lot better than the ones that are really the wider ones that are with softer tines that are made for raking leaves. This is in your basic rock raking or pine needles and digging into the ground a little bit when you're doing some raking. That's why I prefer this one. But I say that I have two different kinds, so let me show you the other one. And this is the other one. It is similar kind of rake. I mean, you look at it and you think, yeah, it's the same rake, same kind of rake. But if you see on the underside here, I have taken zip ties and attached magnets to the rake. This kind of rake is great for areas if you have tin cans that are broken down and other iron trash and maybe some nails and things like that. You can go with a rake like this and the magnets will magnetize the steel and allow you to suck up magnetic stuff off the soil to the point where, sometimes you get to places and there's so much magnetic iron trash that you can't deal with it. It's just trash. Because the truth is, a lot of times the old timers, when they were out in the field, they camped right on the workings. It's not like they went out and found, okay, gold here, so I'm gonna camp way away from that. No, man, if they found gold here, they'd camp right next to it. And a lot of times the right next to it, where they were camping, had decent gold too. And so this rake is my raking away magnetic iron trash rake. And it can be a really helpful for that. And I've found some good gold doing this technique. So let me show you, we got different rakes. I'm not gonna be using this rake today because I'm going after pine needles, but you can go after rocks in the desert, and these can help you find some serious gold. Like I say, my friend who had a rake like this, and he called it his 100 nugget rake. Maybe you can find 100 nuggets. Maybe I can find 100 nuggets. Let's go out and do it. Raking is a speculative kind of thing. I mean, you never know what you're gonna get. It's something I would never consider raking an area if I hadn't found significant gold there. But if you find gold and you think that maybe an inch or two down you're gonna be finding some more, well, raking is a good thing to do. And so I'm raking this area, raking it up real good, and I am clearing off an inch or two off the surface so that my detector will see an inch or two more. Well, I assure you that I went over this spot very, very carefully previously, but I went over it, and right on kind of the edge of where I was raking, there was a weak target sound. But I get weak target sounds pretty regular, so I dug down, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And I'm down now at least 4 inches, and this particular spot didn't have a lot of trash. There's trash around here, but this particular spot didn't have a lot of trash. And I dug a nugget in front of me, and I dug a nugget behind me. And in between, I've got a target sound that's pretty deep, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be gold. So let me dig and see what I find. It just goes to show you, look, I spent a huge amount of money to have the most powerful detector in the world, in my opinion, okay? The GPZ 7000. And, it punches really deep and sees small gold pretty deep. And with the pine needles and dirt and stuff on top of this, I didn't hear it. When I went over it, even after raking it, it was pretty faint. But the thing is, the rake is a tool. You get one at the hardware store, you probably have one in your garage, and it can make all the difference in being able to punch just a few inches deeper. And that is what often finds the gold. The gold that hasn't been seen, it's the stuff that's just out of your reach of your detector, whichever detector you have. Even if you have one, that's nice, but maybe not as expensive as this one, you can punch deeper because you used a rake. And the rake is cheap, it's simple, it's easy. That's why I'm saying that having a good rake can make all the difference in the world and using it. Remember my friend's story of the 100 nugget rake. Let's see how big this one is, because I'm pretty sure it's gold. You can never be 100% sure until it's in your hand, but I'm reasonably confident. Let's see what it is. It's out of the hole. Okay, let's see what it is. I'd have you listening to this, but the 7000 only runs in headphones, and I'd have to run something over to my headphones. I'm going to take care of that, but not today. Not in that. Not there. Okay, have to pinpoint again, one more try. Okay, it's in the scoop, it's in the scoop. In the scoop. In my hand. Still in my hand. Still in the scoop. I think I see it. Yeah, it's gold. And there it is. It's about a pennyweighter. About a gram and a half. So a nice find. I'm darn pleased, and in a spot that I got it because I used a rake to see deeper. Shows you what a rake can do.
So here's my really nice gold nugget that I found. Now, I had found last summer gold within feet of this spot, and so I had gone over it very, very carefully. But it was the peeling back of a couple inches of pine needles and a surface organic humus underneath the pine needles that gave me access to see a little bit deeper down. And honestly, when I went over it with my detector, I can tell you it was a very weak signal. And at first I wasn't 100% sure it was just a ground noise or whether it really was a target. But I dug down on it and it got stronger and stronger, and so I was sure it was a target. And that's when I turned the camera back on and said, hey, I think this is a piece of gold. And it came out, and it's a nice piece of gold, well worth having, that I got because I peeled off the pine needles. And the same goes for the rocks and that kind of stuff in more desert areas or more rocky areas, even in the forest. So peeling back surface cover can make a huge difference. And there's a lesson in this too for, how you swing your coil. If you swing your coil a couple inches above the ground, you're losing gold. There's just no two ways about it. And so, if you want to get the best depth on your detector, if you want to see all the gold in the area, if there's rocks on top or pine needles or stuff like that, it's important to peel that stuff back and get down underneath it to see the gold that's down there that's just a little bit too deeper for your detector to see. Now, whatever you're doing for prospecting, whether it's metal detecting or sluicing or whatever, panning, it's all dry washing. It all comes down to what you know. The more you know about prospecting techniques and methods, the more you understand about the geology of gold, the better off you're going to be and the higher the likelihood of success that you're going to have. And in order to do that, I wrote a book called Fistful of Gold. And I've also partnered with a company called High Plains Prospecting that sells all kinds of prospecting equipment. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book and about High Plains right now.
This is my book, Fistful of Gold. It's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know to go out and find gold for yourself. It distills down my 45 years of experience out in the field prospecting, as well as my degree in mine engineering. It's, like I say, an encyclopedia. There's a lot to it. It's over 250,000 words long, hundreds of pages with hundreds of illustrations, teaching you what you need to know about geology, about mining districts, about techniques of finding gold. It covers metal detectors, sluicing, panning, dry washing, high bankers, you name it, it's covered in there. It talks some about platinum and diamonds, but it's mostly about gold because gold is more widespread. It is not so much a book about where to find gold, but a book about how to find gold. Because even if you have a location where gold was mined in the past and you go out there, well, where should you look to be successful in your prospecting, to find the gold that's there? This is the book that's going to tell you that information. I spent most of 10 years writing this book, so I thought a long time about it. It's got, like I say, lots of information and lots of illustrations, and I've had results from people who bought it. It's available on Amazon, but I recommend buying it through High Plains Prospectors, and I'll put a link in the description for buying this book through them. They have a better price than Amazon, and I have a special deal that I'll tell you a little bit more about, where you can get a 5% discount from the price even with that. On Amazon, the book rates a 4.7 out of 5, which means that of all the people that have bought it, they've been really highly satisfied, and I think you, if you buy my book, will be just as highly satisfied as well. Now let's talk a little bit more about High Plains Prospectors. They're a prospecting shop, a mail order prospecting shop that I've partnered with. The deal is that I can get you a 5% discount, a coupon code, and I'm going to put the code to that right here. It's just Chris Ralph, all caps with no space between Chris and Ralph. You put that in there as a discount code and you'll get 5% off their already really good prices. I think it's a great deal where you win by getting a discount, I get a little percentage of that, and they get new business. So if you need prospecting supplies, High Plains is really the way to go. And I'll put information, like I say, in the description more about how you can work with them, because I'm working with them. They really are great guys, a great company. For even more information, I also have a website, and I'm going to show you my webpage and talk a little bit more about that right now.
This is my webpage. It's located at NevadaOutbackGems.com. You can Google it, or I have a link down in the description below. But there's lots of information here, miscellaneous stuff, pictures, some historic information as well, stories. It's got a lot of great fun stuff. You'll probably be interested in it.
Now, on all of my YouTube videos, I encourage you guys to ask questions. If you have thoughts, comments, suggestions for things that I ought to look at in my videos, things that you want to find out more about, and I answer 100% of my questions. There's not very many YouTubers out there that answer 100% of their questions. I'm one of the few. And so I will do my best to answer what you have. I mean, I only can write so much. Sometimes the answer is something where I'm going to recommend that you buy the book and read about it. I also ask that you subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification so that every time I come out with a new video, you'll be able to watch it. And like I say, I cover a huge amount of topics. I also have 250 videos that I've already done. And so you can go back through my catalog of videos on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be many videos there that you'll want to take a look at, especially if you have any interest in gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, geology, and that sort of stuff. My YouTube site is going to be right up your alley. So I'll see you again real soon. We'll be out in the field and back in the office at the whiteboard, and whether we're looking at gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, or other interesting geology, it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it, and we'll see you again real soon.